Hello and welcome back to the Manufacturing Culture Podcast. I'm your host, Jim Mayer, and I am so glad that you could join us. Before we dive in, a quick reminder to check out themfgconnector.com for more stories and insights into the manufacturing world. You can also follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram for regular updates. And if you're passionate about discovering innovative solutions in manufacturing, don't miss our show, The Manufacturing Connector, on YouTube. It's all about breakthroughs and practical ideas that solve industry problems. And speaking of the Manufacturing Connector, our next guest, his company was featured on the very first episode. Today's guest has an incredible journey that embodies hard work, thoughtful leadership, and dedication. I'm honored to welcome Yushiro Kato, a visionary leader and one of the youngest CEOs to achieve remarkable success on a global scale. Yushiro grew up in Japan, where a strong sense of responsibility and curiosity shaped his path early on. After a successful career at McKinsey and Company, he made the bold decision to start a company of his own, one that would go on to transform the manufacturing landscape. But what's truly inspiring about Yushiro's journey isn't just his accomplishments, it's his commitment to solving problems in a way that reflects deep respect for others and the world around him. Today, we'll hear about the pivotal moments in his life, the values that guide him as a leader, and the lessons he's learned along the way. This is a story about much more than business. It's about a leader with a heart for people and a vision for the future. Let's welcome Yushiro Kato to the show. Yushiro, thank you for joining us on the Manufacturing Culture Podcast. How are you doing today?
Great. Thank you very much for having me here today, Jim.
Absolutely. This is a lot of fun. I've been building this conversation up in my brain for a while since Aaron and I talked about it originally. And I'm really excited to hear your story. So let's start there, Yushiro. Tell us your story. How did you get to where you are today? How did your story begin?
All right, absolutely. I don't know where I should start, but okay. At the university, I had my own business actually when I was at the university, like more than 10 years ago.
Okay.
I did some business around clinical trial. The counterparts, my business partners, my clients were clinical trial institutions where they conduct clinical trials, of course.
Yeah.
We had a website to obtain participants to clinical trials because Japan had a lot of problems around clinical trials, the length of the trials because of the lack of people who want to join the trial because it's scary, right?
Yeah.
So it actually takes double amount of time, twice as much as it takes in in the US. So
Really?
that's why I created a website and tried to aggregate people to the website to fasten that process. But after that, I wanted to do something bigger, and I didn't have any idea on that. So I decided to join McKinsey, a global consulting firm, to explore more about the pain points and challenges in the traditional markets, because I thought that's where the bigger pain points, bigger opportunities sit. After I joined McKinsey, I did a lot of studies, like what we call it studies, but it's projects around the world. So I was in Japan. I had some projects in Netherlands. I had multiple projects in the US, in Chicago, Milwaukee, Kansas City, Nebraska. I love Kansas City, by the way. And
Right there in the middle, right?
yes. I loved barbecue there. Like I think I ate barbecue 6 times a week at that time. And that was also a manufacturing company there. So I was supporting a lot of different industries. I found manufacturing super fascinating, super interesting because it's, of course, the largest industry in the world. And there are so many pain points around manufacturing. And of course, digital penetration is not that high yet,
Yeah.
right? So there's huge opportunity to transform and change the industry. And also there's a global commonality, I would say, like supply chain is connected globally. and the systems they use are very similar across like regions and countries. So that's why I was really fascinated by the industry. I like in the last 2 years at McKinsey, I was a senior manager there. So I was I spent like 120% of my time on manufacturing industry, doing
Wow.
procurement support for our large enterprise customers, supply chain optimization studies, design transformation, design standardization studies across countries, and so on and so forth. And after that, I realized the pain points in the manufacturing industry. So I decided to start my own company in 2017 with co-founder Aki from Apple. Yeah.
Wow. And so was there a moment, because making that leap from McKinsey, which is a very, very well respected consulting firm, and it is global, and there's a lot of stability that comes with working for an organization like
Mhm.
McKinsey, to then starting your own organization, that's a bold move. Was there a moment that you woke up and you said, I need to do this? What was that inspiration
Yeah.
that made you make that jump?
Yeah. So first of all, when it comes to starting my own business or entrepreneurship, I had my own business at the university, right?
Right.
So like I said, so I kind of pre-decided to do my own business again after like 3, 4 years at McKinsey.
Okay.
So like that's kind of set already before I joined McKinsey. But like while I was at McKinsey, it was kind of gradual. I tried to come up with like 3, 4 ideas how to transform this industry, this customer, while I was doing a lot of different types of projects
Hmm.
with large enterprises. And I happen to have a lot of opportunities to work with large manufacturing companies, again, for their procurement cost reductions and design transformation and so on. And I was also co-head of procurement practice in
Okay.
manufacturing at McKinsey. So how McKinsey supports our manufacturing customers was like there are a lot of ways to support them, but in terms of procurement, there are two major ways to do that. One is what they call clean sheeting. It's called should costing in the market. So
Okay.
McKinsey, they have a lot of cost analysts, and cost analysts tear down the products into components and materials, and they calculate the cost of should cost of each and every part. And adding it up, we understand, oh, probably you are buying this like lighting at $100, but actually the manufacturing cost of this is like $67.563, right?
Okay.
So probably suppliers making profits at like 35%, which is okay, but probably there should be some negotiation margin for negotiation. Or it could be like, and if you have a breakdown of the cost, right, material cost is like $12.55, and like batch setup cost is this, and process cost is that, and surface treatment cost is that. You will be able to come up with an idea to of how to reduce the cost of material. So
Hmm.
where the biggest cost is coming from, first of all, right? Oh, so the welding cost is the biggest component. So why don't we reduce the length of welding if the strength is okay, right? Of the structure is okay, and so on. So that's one way, cost calculation, should costing approach. And secondly, of course, supplier competition. So
Hmm.
had we I mean, McKinsey had a database of global suppliers, and we kind of introduced some good-looking suppliers for each and every part, so that they can get send RFQs to them and get RFQ quotations from
Yeah.
them, and so that they can compare the
Okay.
cost of the existing suppliers. So those are the two ways: should costing and supplier introductions. And I realized that there are several things that are challenging to our customers. First of all, should costing takes a lot of time. because you need to tear down the components, tear down the assemblies, and you need to know the market price, market cost, labor cost, energy cost, standard costing, I don't know, Japan, China, the US, Mexico, and so on to compare the shoe cost. So it's very hard to transfer the knowledge to the client. It's really dependent on McKinsey, right?
Yeah.
And secondly, even though the suppliers, like even if you create supplier competition environment, you cannot fully leverage the power of negotiation. It depends on, of course, depends on the procurement officers. If they are junior, even though the suppliers are good, even though the should costing looks good, outcome is not really good, not as good as it should be, right? So it totally depends on the procurement officer. And last but not least, it's really a matter of, should costing takes time. Supplier competition, it's okay, but it's not. It depends on the procurement officers, and also there's like huge uncertainties around the cost from suppliers. So it's very hard to estimate the cost from each and every supplier when it comes to custom made parts. So like this supplier looks good on the website, but actually they say we cannot create A part and B part. And the cost is a lot higher than expected for C part and D part. So
Sure.
It takes a lot of time, and there's a lot of uncertainty around cost and capability of suppliers. So there's no master database of suppliers, right, in the world. So that's why I wanted to solve this problem. And I created a business called Caddy Manufacturing.
Okay.
We connect buyers and suppliers with a system to analyze the cost of parts automatically. So it's kind of an Amazon for custom-made parts in the manufacturing industry. So that's when I came up with the idea of Caddy Manufacturing, and I decided to do this business.
So how did Caddy Manufacturing evolve into what we now see as Caddy? Because those are two very different platforms that you just described, the previous version, or Caddy Manufacturing to Caddy Drawer. How did that evolve?
That's a great question. So we started with a business called Caddy Manufacturing. I started this company with Aki, co-founder and CTO. He actually used to work for Lockheed Martin as a software engineer when he was a high school student in Palo Alto. And he's a real geek. And he actually earned tuition for Stanford himself. And he went to Stanford, including master's. And after master's at Stanford, he joined Apple as a youngest software senior engineer. And he was in charge of iPhone and iPhone development and AirPods development. So he knows manufacturing because Lockheed Martin, Apple are manufacturing companies. And of course, he's really an expert on software development. So he was in charge. He's still a CTO for us. He has been in charge of software development. I have been in charge of business development. So anyways, so we started this company, Caddy, 2017, and Caddy Manufacturing grew rapidly. By the way, the first quotation engineer, drawing analysis engineer, inspection engineer is myself. I was doing all the quotations, all the customer support, all the supplier development, all the inspections by myself. Of course, because we are company of 2 to 3 people, right?
Right.
So I know how hard it is. I know how complicated it is, especially in terms of quality assurance, right? We got scolded by, our customers who really got pissed a lot of times because of our poor quality in the first 1-2 years, right? But so that's why we ended up building 10 inspection centers globally to really manage our controls, our quality to our customers. So we were in between manufacturer, job shops and buyers, but we were not just connecting buyers and suppliers, but we were also assuring quality of the products physically by doing inspections ourselves. And also we were in charge of cost analysis, cost calculation, and quotation, and so on. And so we ended up developing 20, 30 different softwares to streamline our operations, like the softwares behind Amazon. Like what you expect from Amazon is the good product, like physical product, right?
Yep.
But actually they use a lot of softwares behind Amazon to streamline their inventory management, their warehouse, their order platform, right? Similar to that, we had a lot of technologies to analyze drawings, select best suppliers automatically, inspect parts in a smooth way, and so on. And we had been showing that technology is behind the products, like physical products to our customers when we pitched our product, when we pitched Caddy manufacturing to the customers, because
Mm-hmm.
it's a kind of a source of trust, right? Why are they, like delivering parts so fast? Why is the quality so good? Why is the cost like very affordable? Like this is the answer. And a lot of like we have been getting a lot more customers who are interested in the physical products as well as software programs behind the product. So we realized, oh, there's a huge need of this technology that we are internally using to streamline our own operations, because
Mm-hmm.
operations are very similar. They are dealing with a lot of different formats of drawings, PDFs, DXFs, paper drawings, paper documents, and so on. So we might be able to leverage this technology. Like we realize that we would be able to leverage this technology to our customers. So why don't we productize one of the core technologies we had? And that's when like we developed Caddy Drawer. That was like 3 years ago, right? And we launched Caddy Drawer at the time. And Caddy Drawer grew rapidly. Caddy Drawer is a manufacturing intelligence platform where we aggregate data from a lot of different data sources like ERP data, ERP, PLM, QMS, SCM, whatever that is, and connect the data by analyzing data, like extracting information from 2D drawings, 3D CAD, and so on, and then connect data automatically so that people can utilize the data rather than just storing the data or managing the
Yeah.
data. So like our software is for engineers who wants to utilize the data in the past that are similar to the product that you are working on, because of course, obviously, large enterprise manufacturing companies have longer history. They have a lot of repository. Why don't you leverage the data in the past to streamline your operations now, right? So that's how we developed Caddy Drawer, and it grew rapidly. And actually, 2 months ago, we decided to integrate these two businesses into one, which is Caddy Drawer side of the business, like software side of the business. So now, actually, we had more than 5,000 customers for Caddy manufacturing. Like we had 5 countries in operations in terms of Caddy manufacturing, including the US, Mexico, Japan, Thailand, and Vietnam. But we decided to stop the transactions of physical products, and we integrated all the systems we developed internally into Caddy Drawer platform so that every customer can access the software we developed, because it's all
Wow.
useful, right? It's in the process of migrating the softwares into Caddy Drawer. So we have, for example, Caddy Quote, which is a automatic supplier selection platform or system. Like when you upload the drawings, like when procurement officers upload the drawings, Caddy Quote automatically select suppliers out of your network, out of your supplier network, based on the similar drawings in the past and supplier information associated with it, so that procurement officers don't have to spend a lot of time on supplier selection or like PDF, like putting together PDF for each and every supplier, and so on. So like that's the kind of where we at. We are focusing on Caddy Drawer, data manufacturing intelligence platform now.
And again, episode 1 of the Manufacturing Connector. I am a massive fan of this platform. I talk about it with anybody that will listen, even people not in the industry, just because I think it's that great of a resource. Um, is Caddy Quote and Caddy Manufacturing still available in the US?
So actually, Caddy manufacturing is not available in the US now. We stopped
Okay.
the new transactions from new customers.
Yeah.
Again, we decided to stop the deals and transactions through through the platform. We just picked up some like great softwares we developed for Caddy manufacturing into
Okay.
Caddy Drawer so that people can utilize that software,
Got it.
not the physical products. In terms of Caddy Quote, it's actually a beta version that is available in like in Japan. So
Okay.
we will be launching official version of Caddy Quote soon. Then from that point time, like of course that will be available for all customers.
Let me know because I'd love to have somebody from Caddy back on the manufacturing connector to
Of
show
course.
us the Caddy quote platform because again, I think it's amazing. So, Yushiro, leadership is a lonely road, right? It's lonely when you're leading and you're at the top. You achieved a lot of success at a very young age, and you come from a very different culture than a lot of our listeners are used to. Growing up in Japan, being raised in Japan, working in Japan, that has a lot of different cultural values. How have those cultural values influenced your leadership style and your approach to business?
That's a good question. I actually have not worked for any Japanese companies in my history. So McKinsey is the global company, of course, headquarters in the US.
Right.
And I spent like 1 to 2 years at McKinsey in Japan, but I spent the rest like several years in Netherlands, US, and other part of the world. So
Sure.
I'm not super familiar with the Japanese like corporate culture, but I think a lot of our culture, like not a lot of, but part of our culture is coming from or came from McKinsey, and part of our culture came from Apple, of
Okay.
course. Like it's a mixture of McKinsey, Apple, and our personal experiences.
Yeah.
By the way, Aki, like co-founder and CTO, he grew up in the US. Yeah, so like we have a mixture of backgrounds.
Yeah.
Um, so McKinsey uh, the like they that's like, the most one of the most interesting parts of McKinsey is that they have two missions, and one is client impact. So of course, like they need to always make sure the client has impacts
Yeah.
from their jobs. That's obvious, right? But two, people development.
Mhm.
They put people development in the mission, in
Wow.
their mission as a company. That is great, right? So there are so many founders or entrepreneurs, ex McKinsey entrepreneurs, who learned like business at McKinsey and start their own jobs. So that's something I liked a lot. So that's why McKinsey embraces like entrepreneurship, like
Yeah.
new development of the new clients, new use cases, new things. So that's of course I'm an entrepreneur. I mean, of course I have entrepreneurship, I believe, but a part of that could come from McKinsey. And also
Mhm.
McKinsey says like entrepreneurship and leadership are not something that only leaders should have or only entrepreneurs should have. That's something like all the employees should have. That's the culture we have at McKinsey. Like all the people should be entrepreneur. All the people should be a leader and an
Mhm.
owner of something. That's why we like issue stock options, for example, of course,
Yeah.
right? So that's part of it. And yeah, I think that's the biggest part of our like corporate culture that is coming from my past experience.
I love it. I love it. And so, how do you keep those values that are yours, that you have brought from McKinsey, from your background, your personal history, your lived experiences? How do you keep those at the forefront of how you run Caddy now, which is a global company? I mean,
Yeah.
it is a global company. How do you balance your values and the values of the organization?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I mean, now we are a global company. We have we do have Caddy in four countries,
Wow.
except for Mexico. I said 5 countries for Caddy manufacturing.
Yeah.
Now we have US, Japan, Thailand, and Vietnam. And actually, a lot of our customers outside of those 4 countries are using Roar as well, because we have a lot of large enterprise customers. They have a lot of different branches in the world, right? So
Yeah.
a lot of employees outside of the 4 countries are using Roar.
Sure.
Anyways, I think, first of all, for me, talent is everything. Talent is super important. So product is important, but talent is more important, because talent is someone who evolves the product, right?
Yeah.
Who improves the product. So I, for example, spend 30 to 40%, sometimes 50% on hiring. And I'm still, like, we have 600 people globally, but I'm
Wow.
still the last gatekeeper in terms of global hiring. So I, like, always do final interviews, and I check the result of the final interviews. And I'm the first, like, final one to judge
Got it.
whether, like, we want to hire him or not, or her or not.
Yeah.
So, like, in order to keep values, you need to hire great talents,
Yep.
because that share the same value already, right? It's very hard to teach, like, someone who has like 40 years experience at work. This is the values that you should take care of. You should be mindful of, right? So,
Yeah.
like, I do not want to take that approach. Rather than doing that, I just hire people who have the same values. So that's one. And, like, it's not in terms of organization, but, like, localization of cultures and products are also important. Like, at
hmm
least you should not, in terms of product, we really focus on local needs and local approach to solve the needs. But at the same time, we share knowledge globally, like, to avoid reinvention of the wheels.
Yeah.
So it's a balance of localization and globalization in terms of culture and in terms of product. But you should not assume the situation where the customers are in the US and in Japan are same or similar.
Sure.
Or you should not assume that culture in the US and in Japan are similar or the same.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, I mean, like, we should share the core values, but we should localize the rest.
Yeah. I get it. I absolutely get it. And one of the things I talk a lot about on this show, talks that I give in conversations I just have with people, company culture can be boiled down in its most simplistic form to
Mhm.
that alignment of values between the organization and the employees. So what you're doing is you're taking it, if I'm understanding you correctly, you're taking that to the next level and you're saying, yes, it is the alignment of the people in the organization, but I'm not even going to bring somebody on board that doesn't, out of off the shelf, out of the box, whatever reference you want to use, uh, align with those values. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yes, that's
I love
exactly
it.
correct. Yeah.
I love it. So
Yeah.
what are the values of Caddy?
So we have 4 values. One is think big and uphold integrity as one, and be distinctive. Those are the 4 values, like, we share globally.
I love it. Well, and I love values when they're not just random words that go on a wall that can be interpreted different ways. You've refined those to a point where you know exactly what those mean. So I love that.
Yeah, and we've been keeping this values. We set this value in the first year, and we've been keeping this for the last 7 years since the foundation, as well as the mission of unleash the potential of manufacturing. So
I
these are
love
the
it.
really core of our company, and
Yeah.
we have, like, on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, kind of uh, kind of we have a retrospective, and give feedback to the HR team or management team and say, hey, like, whether, if this activity or if this decision making, if this strategy really aligns with the mission, or if this really aligns with the values that we set 7 years
Yeah.
ago. So
I love it. That's great. Yushiro, how do you personally define success?
that's a good question. Success is not money for me, for sure. I
Yeah.
actually, this is a funny story. When I had interviews, like job interviews with Chris, like, yeah, Chris was on the show, right?
Yeah.
The first podcast. I said, I am not interested in money at all, honestly. And he said, after he joined Caddy, he said, don't say that in front of interviews, in front of customers, in front of investors in the US, because if you are not interested in money, probably investors will be shocked and
Right.
will be afraid. Probably this person will not going to make money. I'm not saying our company will not going to make money. Will not be making money. Of
Hmm.
course, like we'll be making money. We'll like if the business gets bigger. But I
Right.
personally don't really care about money. Like I personally lost two best friends. I'm still 33, but I lost two best friends, and so I really want to enjoy my life. And
Yeah.
money is secondary or third for me. Like really honestly. So I say this out loud. Probably Chris will punch me on the face, but but yeah, that's not my motivation.
Yeah.
Motivation is like so. First of all, I want to do something new. I want to see the scenery that nobody has ever seen before. That's the kind of motivation for me. And I want to um, create a platform. I want to create an infrastructure that everybody or like a lot of people use on a daily basis without even noticing that they are using that, right?
Yeah.
So like when I was at the university, the first idea that I came up with was to create an automotive company. I really wanted to create an automotive company. I actually gave up literally, but yeah, that was the kind of idea I had, and like I was really I want to really build something that is like normal or
Hmm.
standard for everybody, and that elevates the standard for everybody. So I don't know if I answered your question, but that's my motivation.
Absolutely. There's no wrong answers on the Manufacturing Culture podcast. Yushiro, Caddy, and your time at McKinsey, you've worked with some of the largest manufacturers in the world. Chris talked to us about the work that Caddy Drawer does with Subaru. You've worked with Hitachi. You've worked with a number of other
Mm.
organizations. How do you keep your company, your teams, your people innovative in this space? You just said that you want to be the one to see things first. How do you keep them innovating in a space that is traditionally slower moving than other industries?
That's a great question. First of all, when companies get bigger, a lot of people tend not to go to the customer site and
Hmm.
try to really understand and see what they're working on, what they are doing with their eyes. Um, I I said this actually in the all hands we have on a weekly basis, global all hands, two days ago, literally. Like you should go to the customer site like next week, like everybody, not only sales, not only
Yeah.
marketing. Like everybody should go to the customer site and understand what are the challenges they have, what are the things that we should really solve in the coming 6 months and 12 months.
Hmm.
I don't like that. I don't like the situation where our members say like we should create this because the salespeople A and B said this is the problem. No, you haven't seen the problem. Like you should go to the place and see the problem and
Yeah.
come back to me. So that's why like for example, I've had 30 customer interviews aside from the sales pitches, like sales meetings, in the last 1 month.
Wow.
So I can in the U.S. only, and I have meetings with our customers in Japan and the rest of the world as well. So I really emphasize the value of talking to the customers in person. I could be online, but I strongly recommend talking to them in person to really see what they are doing rather than hear what they're like. That's really the core of being, to be innovative because without understanding the actual problem, you cannot come up with the right answer to that. So that's my opinion.
I love it. A lot of our listeners on this show are emerging leaders, they're aspiring entrepreneurs, they're young people in manufacturing. What advice would you give to somebody who's just starting out in their career? They are that junior, they're either leaving trade school or they're leaving university, but they have big dreams for this industry. What advice would you give them?
Yeah. So there are several advices I would give to them, but one of them is the thing that I just described. So
Yeah.
you should really go to the customers and understand the pain points, not the solutions. You
Yeah.
should not come up with solutions before really understanding the pain points of the customers. So the key question for me, I like that I always ask to customers in the year first to second to now, is that what are the biggest, like regardless of the drawers, the caddy drawers scope, what are the biggest 2 or 3 pain points that keep you awake all night?
Hmm.
That gives you biggest headache, like in the last 1 year or like 6 months. I actually had one interview today at noon. It's a large construction machinery company in Wisconsin. I like first question I asked to her it was this question. This is really important. I don't care, what the solution is. I mean, like solution is important, but the
Hmm.
problem is more important
Yeah.
because problem doesn't really change a lot that
Yeah.
frequently. Solution could change, right? So you should really, really understand the problems. And what I see a lot, like for example, in manufacturing industry, when it comes to startups, is that like they love, for example, new technologies, AI, 3D CAD, and so on. Like 3D CAD is not new, but we actually started. It's a kind of backstory of Caddy, but Caddy, part of the meaning of Caddy is that caddy for golfing,
Okay.
because you want to be a caddy for professional golfers that are manufacturers. We want to support them. That's one meaning. The second one is CAD direct. So direct
Ah,
sourcing from CAD data. So automatic sourcing from 3D. So we
got it.
actually started with CAD data because CAD is easier to analyze from machine perspective or system perspective. But what we realized after we launched Caddy is that more than 98% of the people, customers, they send us drawings rather than 3D CAD. They send us papers, they send us PDFs, they send us DXFs, uh, they sometimes send us papers through fax. And like it was really we were really struggling with how to analyze these data, how to deal with these data because
Yeah.
there's no standard format. It's really hard to analyze automatically. But in the end, within 3 months, we decided to shift from 3D CAD analysis to 2D drawing analysis. We decided this, the meaning of this is not to stop 3D CAD analysis forever, but now, this is what it is, right? Like all the people in supply chain use 2D drawings, papers for their procurement activities.
Hmm.
So we decided to do that, and that was really hard, but that's what drawer came from as well, right?
Got
Like
it.
drawing analysis. But a lot of other companies are doing 3D CAD analysis because 3D CAD is fancier. 3D CAD easier to analyze from machine perspective, and
Yeah.
3D CAD is the future. I know 3D CAD is the future, but you should really look at the situation where our customers are really, really in, right? That's
Hmm.
3D drawings, especially in terms of supply chain. So now we can analyze 3D CAD on drawer. We will be able to do that. Like it's on the beta version. We are happy to announce that. But we started with 2D drawings because of that. So that's one good example of why you should really look at the situation where our customers are in.
I love it. What what excites you about the future of manufacturing? Is there a technology? Is there a process? Is there a technique that's exciting to you about the future of this industry?
That's a great question. I'm always excited about manufacturing. I love being at the facility. I love being at the factories. I was like, probably when I was at McKinsey, when I was doing projects with manufacturing customers, I was always in the factory working with people next to them. Like I
Hmm.
like the first like question or request to our customer was from my end was, can I have one seat or and one desk next to you, like literally, and one meeting room in your organization. So I was there like all the time. I was the one who went there at the first. Anyways, so I love being at factories, looking at how manufacturers work, how operators work, how they run machinery, and so on. But in terms of the future, of course, I'm very excited about the power of AI.
Hmm.
Uh, Obviously, right? It's not everything for manufacturing because physical things will not disappear. It's not going to be just AI. Like
Right.
manufacturing is a physical thing, but there's a huge possibility or opportunities that AI can support physical activities in manufacturing. Um, and yeah, AI is a big word, kind of, it's not a buzzword anymore, but like kind of a buzzword. So
Oh yeah.
I don't like to say, it's AI, but it's actually AI for me.
Yeah. Okay. And so that being said, AI being what excites you about the future, what's next for you and Caddy? And does it start playing a larger and larger role in the evolution as of Caddy as a organization in your strategy as a leader? What does that future look like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So before answering that question, first of all, in order to really fully leverage AI, power of AI, you need to have a right data set ready for AI to digest. So there are a lot of data in manufacturing,
Hmm.
and there are several types of data, like a lot of types of data in manufacturing, like 3D CAD, 2D drawings, 3D CAD, quotation, quality defect reports, engineering standard, a CAM, CAE, whatever.
Yeah.
Right. And the difficulty in manufacturing is like there are too many types of data. And there are two types of data in summary. One is structured data, and the other one is unstructured data.
Okay.
Structured data is like the data you can put into Excel, like numbers with like columns and rows, right?
Hmm.
Unstructured data is like photos, text messages, and so on. Like
Yeah.
um, as you can imagine, actually, manufacturing industry has a lot more unstructured data than structured data. Of course, you have ERP system that stores structured data as well, like including cost, profit, revenue,
Hmm.
and so on. But you have a lot more data than structured data that in ERP system. The structured data in ERP system. So the question would be how you can aggregate those structured data, and then connect unstructured data and structured data in the same format. That's like, without it, you cannot fully leverage the power of AI because data is not ready. So that's first of all, that's something we are helping our manufacturing customers do.
Hmm.
We convert unstructured data, like the good example is drawing, of course. Like it's a PDF. If that's a PDF, it's just an image, right?
Yeah.
But there should be a lot of important information that should be structured, like material. What is the material of this drawing? What is the surface treatment of this drawing? What is the size of this drawing? What are the processes to make this part?
Hmm.
Um, and so on, right? So those are the things that we do. Our Caddy Drawer AI automatically extracts the information from the drawing, like OCR technology,
Yep.
but it's not just an OCR, but it's structuring technology. So Caddy Drawer automatically structures the data. So A36 is a steel, it's a
Hmm.
material. Drawer automatically structures the data. So that's the power of AI, first of all, to support AI,
Yeah.
so to prepare the data ready for other AIs and generative AIs to really consume.
Yeah.
Um, and what's next in Caddy? One is this analysis. Like we will have more and more analysis, and this analysis technology will be a lot smarter in the future.
Okay.
Now, again, we can extract size information, text information, manufacturing, some of the manufacturing symbols, but automotive drawings have their specific symbols and marks on them, right?
Yep.
Those types of things are something we should work on. We are working on it now, so it's going to be ready in the future. Like it should be more and more specific to the specific industry, specific data format, and so on. And also 3D CAD is going to be ready, and other data formats. Like there are a lot of engineering documents, right, in a Word format. So those are the things that we are working on now to really understand what that format, what that document is, and how should this document connect it to which drawing, right? That kind of things will be smarter. That's one. And secondly, it's like what we call data platform layer, where you aggregate, analyze, and connect data. And on top of that, we have application layer, and one of which is Caddy Quote, right? Caddy Quote leverages the data on Caddy Drawer platform, like similar drawings, and cost information associated with the drawings, supplier information associated with the drawing. Leveraging those data, Caddy Quote assists you to do better supplier selection, right? We are going to have a lot more applications. It's actually there are 3 or 4 applications ready to launch, and there are a lot more to come. One example would be automatic design review, or semi-automatic design review, or design review assistance, I would say. The system or application is going to support you to, like, if you're an engineer, and after you create a draft of your new drawing, you upload it to Drawer or that application. That application tells you where are the risks are. So, for example, there are similar drawings so that tells you, there are similar drawings in the past that had A and B and C quality defects. So probably you might want to change this aspect of this drawing to really avoid the quality defect A and B. That's something your manager tells you when they do design reviews, right? That's part of that could be automated. So that's something we are working on now, for example.
Yeah, I love it. And so it sounds to me like you're taking your concept here and you're really going to start using it to automate a lot of those tasks that historically in our industry have had the opportunity to be miscommunicated from a manager to a direct report. And you're taking that mistake element off the table so that companies can operate with fewer mistakes and zero mission failures, if it were.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Fantastic. Yushiro, last question.
Yes.
That I ask every single one of my guests. What haven't I asked you that you want to share with the audience?
Our LinkedIn profile page.
All right, what's the LinkedIn profile page? Because you guys put out some great content.
Yeah, I mean, you can just type in Caddy on LinkedIn and you'll find our page. Yeah. Sorry, like that was a joke, but
no, it was funny. I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah, I will. Yeah, I mean, if you guys are interested, please reach out to me or our company, of course. Yeah, you're happy to chat.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Yushiro, thank you very much for being on today and joining us and sharing your journey, sharing some of your views on leadership and company culture. It's been a great conversation. I really appreciate you being on.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me, Jim. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And so, folks, thank you for joining us today. Hearing Yushiro's story from McKinsey to Caddy and that bold leap. But also, I didn't know he had a company before he went to McKinsey. So that his story as a whole is just very motivating to me. And that journey reminds me that taking calculated risks, staying grounded in values, and leading with purpose can really change the way that we approach the world of work, and it can really change industries like Yushiro is able to do with Caddy. So if you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to check out themfgconnector.com for more stories about leadership, innovation, and transformation in this manufacturing industry. And don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram and TikTok to stay updated on all the latest episodes and insights. And if you love seeing solutions in action, don't miss our YouTube show, The Manufacturing Connector, where we dive into real world impact of cutting edge ideas like Caddy. If you found value in today's episode, I'd really appreciate it if you'd rate and review the show on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this show on today. It helps others discover the show, and it rockets us up the charts every time you rate and review, so other people do find us. Also, share it with a friend, a colleague, your grandparents, anyone who would love hearing Yushiro's journey and could use a little inspiration. So, folks, thanks again for tuning in. And as always, keep challenging the status quo and driving innovation in everything that you do. Have a great weekend.